Riders ready, watch the gate.
Hey, welcome back to the Dirty Knobs podcast. I'm your host, Hollywood Mike Miranda, along with my co-host, JV James Vicente from the East Coast and EC Eric Carter from the West Coast. We have a special episode on this one. We talk about the difference between East Coast, West Coast. What is the East Coast? And we want you to tell us who you think our next interview should be. We want it to be someone East Coast. So let us know. Got a couple new sponsors, got a couple new commercials, and always, as always, an Ultramax commercial. So check it out. Let us know what you think. Comment on this, and we'll look forward to the next episode as soon as we figure out who you want us to record. Thanks. Keep it dirty.
And I had a lot of notes here. Hold on.
No. Hey, are you going to do the intro?
No, you do the intro.
No, come on. Do it one time.
Nope. Hey.
That's perfect. Hey. Welcome to the Dirty Knobs podcast. I'm your host, JV James Vicente. My co-hosts are, as always, Hollywood Mike Miranda and EC Eric Carter. On tonight's episode, our special guest is everybody from the East Coast. But according to JV, Florida isn't on the East Coast.
Well, it is on the East Coast.
Well, we'll see. We'll have that discussion tonight.
Yeah.
All right, here he comes.
Okay.
He had an extra hour. What do you think?
Shower. Maybe
Shower?
he ate already. Who knows?
Well, he can't hide it now. He's going to be on the screen the whole time, so we'll see. This is new for us, too, since the last one. Oh, his camera's not on yet. The suspense is killing me. Maybe he's like got a haircut. He's wearing a coat and tie.
No.
Yeah, no.
There he is.
There he is.
There you go.
He got his uni on.
It hurts.
Careful you don't get a rash.
I need to exfoliate.
Yeah. Hey, take that. You should take it off and crack it open a couple times. Crackle it around.
My skin was itching from the pool party yesterday. So I put this on to get all the dead skin off.
Oh man.
Never
Well,
ends.
boys, yeah.
Can't bend your arms. It's just stiff.
Dude, I noticed that. You know what? The material is slightly, I say that's comparatively, slightly softening up. But the cut's a little weird too. I honestly had to check to see if I had it on backwards.
Hey, but Ultramax t-shirts are still available at dirtyknobs.com.
You can wear them frontwards or backwards.
Yeah. Listen, it's a multi-position t-shirt, multifunction, for exfoliating.
They're the best.
Yeah. Oh man, so good.
Oh my gosh.
Well, boys, got a new
What's up?
one. Got a new one. This JV, why don't you tell us how this conversation got sparked up?
So I got a EC. You haven't heard this one yet, but I got a DM from John Shackle. He sent me a note and talking about first saying some cool things about he's been listening to our show, says you guys are doing some awesome stuff. And all the California influence is excellent. Have you possibly considered that your roots were in New Jersey? And there certainly are a lot of us that constantly feel slighted by the fact that we are the forgotten ones. I speak to a lot of people on the East Coast that should also be a part of your podcast and vision. He names a bunch of them: Dave Deckard himself, Wayne McFarquhar, Paul Washington. There's a lot of them. Mark Lopez, Franco Prino. Not to mention all the bike shops that were a huge driving force. We all feel slighted and forgotten, which we've talked about it before, separately. And I've mentioned the Jersey thing, or at least the East Coast thing, that would love at some point to try and give some love to the guys that are on the East Coast.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal, man.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
So, I would have, but I forgot about him already.
Yeah. No.
Oh, stop.
As you guys know, we texted back and forth, and there was a little bit of a heated debate. Not heated. I was just voicing my opinion about some stuff that Terry had said.
Yeah.
And
Terry who? Terry who?
Terry T. So, yeah. And he was saying the same thing about NorCal, right? That we're like,
right.
We're fuck NorCal. We're all about SoCal.
That's right.
And so this is just public service announcement to everybody. Dude, we don't make money on this thing. We do this for fun, for us three to have fun. If you feel slighted, I'm sorry. We don't purposely slight you guys, but we only have so many times to do this. And if you look at the people that we've had on, just about every single person that's been on is super high level, top level guy from back in the day. We have top level guys. So it's not purposeful. And I hate that people get bummed out that we feel like we're sliding them. Like when Terry thought we were screw NorCal, dude, we did Patterson's, we did Ronnie Anderson, we did
Charles.
Chuck Townsend, we did Sherry Elliott.
Sherry, yep.
We did, and basically Terry's message was, all you guys care about is John Cruz. We do care about John Cruz. He's an awesome guy, and he deserved a spot on our podcast. And so Robbie Morales is East Coast, and he deserved a spot on our podcast, right? But so,
yeah,
we can't go around and talk about every bike shop that we went in and bought some Spokey Dokies from. So
we didn't have.
I talked about Bicycle Center, so I'm sure that's probably why they said bike shops, and I can understand that. So, but I guess my message is, guys, it's not purposeful. We're not trying to purposely avoid you guys. We're not slighting you guys. I promise you. But well, aside from Hollywood, but there's only so much time. Like this takes time. It takes time to do a podcast. That's why those guys aren't doing one, and we are. It takes a lot of time to do this, and I'm hardly involved. You guys are way more involved. So we only get a window this big, and we like to do it with the most interesting people that we can have on that are going to tell the coolest stories about the history of our sport. So I hope you guys understand that. No hard feelings. We're not trying to hurt your feelings. We're not trying to slight you, except for Hollywood.
Suck it, East Coasters.
So
we'll get you when we get you. Find somebody interesting and we'll put them on.
Oh, stop it. Stop it.
I think JV is East Coast.
So I think it's a
what do you am I wrong or right, JV?
No, here's what I'm gonna say. Here's my thought on it, because I think it's an interesting conversation, not just between West Coast versus East Coast, but if you think about BMX started on the West Coast. It's got roots there. Of course, it's there longer, right? So to your point of, you want to talk about roots, you want to talk about people which is what we talk about all the time, is how we got to where we are. How else would you not start from the West, right? It makes total sense to me. I think that the conversation really becomes, when you talk about the East Coast, then who's on the East Coast? And then how do you prioritize the East Coast?
Where is the East Coast?
Where is the East Coast? Because it's not just right? It's not California, but
I think starting in Nevada, going that way, it's East Coast.
Oh,
You know,
stop.
yeah, but
you're right. Texas is not East Coast.
you think everything east of Orange County is Hemet, where I live.
I think once you cross PCH, it's all inland.
It's all Hemet. It's all inland.
But I think it's always been a little different for us because the Northeast, even just New Jersey alone, we didn't have, not to my knowledge or the way I felt, we didn't have that NorCal versus Southern California type of rivalry, which I would love to actually try if we have time to talk about that, because recently that's come up a bunch of times, but that we didn't have that. It wasn't like, oh, North Jersey guys going to South Jersey to go race Egg Harbor or to race the Ironman Classic, and there was this big rivalry thing. It wasn't like that for us. Even if you're like Northeast going to Florida, oh, I got to take that guy out because he's from the Northeast, or she's from the North. We didn't have that. And when you were asking, you were saying, what is the East Coast? It was actually something that I was going to mention tonight because due to our topic, I'm like, dude, Florida is not East Coast to me. Mike and I had the same conversation about
Florida
that.
is not East Coast to me. That's Florida. It's not East Coast. It's Florida.
That's what JV said. I said, what are you talking about? That's East Coast.
No, it's not East Coast to me. Like, not when I get it. I understand from a geographical standpoint. If you looked at a map, it's on the east, it's on the coast. I totally get that. But when it comes to BMX racing, I don't think of that as East Coast. I think of that as Florida. I don't think of Seattle as West Coast. I think that's Washington. That's not West Coast. So
so is Georgia East Coast?
I don't think it is. No,
Georgia's not East Coast.
To me, East Coast is Northeast because for me, the guys in the Northeast, dude, there was a different vibe with Northeast guys. Philly up is different.
Yeah,
Philly up is a lot different.
I would agree.
That's how
in my opinion.
What's that?
In my opinion, I agree. In my opinion, the same way.
Dude, it's marked. It's a marked difference. You can tell the people from above, from Philly and above and Philly down, there's a difference. And so I always look at East Coast as that's the line.
Is the difference please and thank you? What is it? What's the difference?
They just, dude, they're I don't want to say harder, but it's like they have a harder edge to them.
Is Maryland East Coast?
See, dude, that's in the gray area, bro.
See,
if I had to draw a line, I would probably say no.
That would probably. Well, I mean, I saw a lot more Maryland people in races in the Northeast.
I know they're east. I know geographically. I'm not stupid.
Yeah.
I know the map. I know that, but East Coast.
So what's the biggest East Coast company?
I don't know.
Yeah, you do. You
rode
for them.
Well, yeah, but I mean, but it's not East Coast.
That's what I'm saying. If the biggest East Coast company is Hutch High Performance and it's in Maryland, how can Maryland not be East Coast?
I know, but I don't think about it like that. I think about it. Here's the thing, man. Like the vibe and the energy is different. And so that's what I equate it to, man. It doesn't have anything to do with, to me, it doesn't have anything to do with the geographic. East Coast BMX to me is like East Coast hardcore BMX, and that's Philly up. Those guys seemed a little bit more hardcore. The guys down in Florida, there were some hardcore guys down in Florida too, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But they were different. They had it was a different vibe and a different attitude, man. I don't know. I don't know how to explain that.
So for the sake of this episode, I'll say, okay, you're going to consider Florida and Georgia not part of the East Coast. Everything south of Philly is not the East Coast.
That's how
Is that how you look at it, JV?
Look at it.
I kind of look at it that way. And you're not, and Ohio and that stuff is its own.
You know where I was going with that next. Okay, so
yeah, no, I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, because I asked JV, well, what about Ohio? Is that East Coast?
No.
What about Pennsylvania?
It's Philly, so Pennsylvania gets that nod.
I say Pennsylvania's East.
Yeah, but Ohio goes to the mid.
Right.
So if someone were asking, hey, where are you going for Christmas? Oh, I'm going back east. Where are you going? Oh, I'm going to Ohio. The Nationals in Ohio. Yeah. To me, that's back east. But I might have a different perspective.
I'm going to the Christmas Classic.
Yeah, I'm going to the Christmas Classic. Where's that at? Oh, it's back east.
No, it's in Ohio.
It's in Ohio.
Yeah, it's back east. But it's funny is like Michigan to me is Midwest.
See?
I know that's funny. But Ohio's East Coast to me.
Yeah. So
and there are JV, you were saying you don't think there's rivalries between like North Jersey, South Jersey?
Not like you guys have. That is like a whole different this thing that you guys have, this NorCal South SoCal thing is
pretty gnarly.
It's intense.
It is gnarly.
It's intense.
Yeah. Like I always thought there was just because of Judd Ciencio and Rich Farside. I just thought everybody was like that. There was in North and South.
No, not like you guys have it. Really. No. I mean, we could speak to, Mark Lopez probably, or Chris Williams or Spanky Campbell. And maybe they're going to give you a different opinion. I doubt it. Not the same thing that you guys have. Well, it's crazy. It really is crazy.
It's gnarly, man.
My mind is blown by that rivalry you guys have. I just don't.
And you know what? I loved it. I said that. I said that when I commented on that post with Terry. Dude, I love that I will say I think the NorCal guys take it more serious than the SoCal guys.
That's because they're on the back end.
But I loved it. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic that they were like so united in that NorCal vibe thing. I loved beating them. I will tell you, man, when I went up to Roseville, anything north, dude, Bakersfield north for me, I was like, this is NorCal, SoCal. I have got to have my shit together. I got to come prepared because I have to beat these NorCal guys. I loved it, dude. Stockton, same thing, man. I mean, I ran Terry into the boards in Stockton. That's one of my most iconic pictures, going over the bridge around the corner, and he got a better start than me, but I had lane one, dude, and I was not shutting off and just slammed him into the boards. And he would have done the same thing to me. He would have done the exact, and I would have expected the same thing. Like, that's how we raced each other, man. It was gnarly.
Well,
so
go ahead, JV.
Sorry, Mike.
Go. Well, not to get too far off into the Southern California, Northern California, because really we're talking about East Coast versus West Coast.
Right.
I'll just say I do want to chime in because Terry said that I disrespected them. At no time have I ever disrespected them at all. Right. And some of my best friends, some of my closest racing friends were from Northern California. I love beating them, Bob Madrano especially. But and I've been no secret that John Cruz is my hero and he's from NorCal. Right. But I don't think I've ever said anything that I don't respect them. I absolutely do. The region, one person specific.
Right.
But I want to tell you where mine comes from. Mine comes long from before BMX. I grew up a Dodger fan, and in our family, and the way we grew up, you can't be a Dodger fan unless you hate the Giants, and that is still the way it is in our house, in our family. And I married into a Giant. My wife is, her families are all Giant fans, and it's a yearly rivalry. This conversation we have with my in-laws, because if you're a Giant fan, you hate the Dodgers. That's just how it is. Well, and so that just bled into BMX for me.
Yeah. Same.
So do you think that, and I'm an outsider making this comment because I'm not close to it, but do you think it seems like Northern California is, and I could be wrong at this, so hopefully I don't get my fucking head blown off here.
Of course you will. There's no way. I feel no matter what, it's gonna be pissed off at you.
Yeah. I feel like Northern California, not everybody, but there's a little bit of like bitterness or like chip
jealousy
on the shoulder
They're jealous
versus Southern California. I could be wrong here, but
No,
it
they
seems
are.
like
Well,
there's
listen.
always this argument. And wait, but do you think that could be because a lot of attention, magazines, and all that stuff are based in Southern California? It was easier for exposure in Southern California than in Northern California.
For sure, absolutely.
I do.
And you think that's the reason why?
I think that's a huge part of it. And I think you could make an argument for it.
It's justified. Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't think they're wrong in feeling that way.
No.
The SoCal guys did get more play, and they did get more looks from the factory riders because that's where the factories were.
Right.
And the magazines.
Yeah. I mean, proximity played a huge part in it. And it's the same with, Mike, you and I with Judd, we always go back and forth with Judd about how he feels
he's
like
on the East Coast.
Yeah, he's East Coast, and he feels like he should have been terrible 10, and he probably has had a legitimate argument for it. He always says that I got the spot because I was West Coast, and I got the 10th spot my first year in. He was fast, dude,
and won races.
He won a lot of races.
Yeah. That's why we call him number 11. He's terrible 11, man, every time. Love that guy.
So, but he definitely had a leg to stand on with that argument. And I would say, I probably got more looks because of where I was at. I backed it up. But,
and as far as the magazines go, there were 500 guys that could jump for pictures in Southern California. And they were, I don't know, maybe 15 in Northern California. I don't know, but there was, it was easier for the magazines to get pictures of guys in Southern California, and the weather was always good.
Right.
So, and they have again, they do have a reason to have a chip on their shoulder. And that's why when they came down here, came to Southern California, it was on for them. And the same for us when we went up there. Now, take that same thing, East Coast, West Coast. I think the East Coast guys don't care if you're from Northern California or Southern California. You're from the West Coast.
Yeah, correct. For sure.
And I wonder and I don't know, JB, if somebody's from Arizona, are they from the West Coast?
Yeah, West Coast.
See, that's crazy to me.
And I know the Florida guys, because we'll say for sake of argument, they're East Coast as well. They felt the same way. Like Florida, dude, it was gnarly. I grew up racing ABA, man. And I remember when I first got on Hutch and I went back there, dude, those people didn't like me.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, dude. I got stink-eyed and, in the lanes going up to get in practice, guys would just cut in front of me. Dude, I got no love. I had to earn all of it, man.
Hey, and not to mention, you took a spot on an East Coast team.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was, and listen, I heard, I took grief for that, and I heard about that.
I'm sure you did.
Yeah. Because I put West Coast guys on an East Coast team.
Yeah. And
I put the right ones on.
So when I first got, but I took that, as challenge accepted, right? It was like, okay, sweet.
Yeah.
I love it. Give it. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to give it back to you. And so, dude, on that summer tour, Hollywood, I passed some of those guys. I would kill myself to pass those guys down the last straightaway, and they would get so mad, but there was no way I could let them feel like they got to me. I just couldn't, dude. I couldn't allow it. And I would think about that every time I raced. I was like, I can't let these guys think that they pushed me around in practice or they pushed me around in the lanes. I can't think. And I think I earned their respect, and I was humble about it. And I actually made friends with all of them after, but dude, I had to go trial by fire. And I should have. I'm better for it. I'm glad they did. I'm better for it. I was a better racer, and I'm a better person because you have to earn that respect.
And not to mention that if you came back to the tent or the motorhome and you lost to those guys or got pushed around by those guys, everyone, even little Mikey Luna would have given you a hard time. Hey, wussy, what happened to you, wussy?
Exactly. Yeah.
With his little smoker voice.
It's true.
Charles, everyone, we would have thrown your stuff out of the motorhome. I know. Yeah. Win your next moto, and you can put your stuff back in the motorhome.
I remember, often I would be roomed with Charles, and so I can remember talking with Charles about it, and it was like, dude, we looked at it as an opportunity to plant ourselves as all-arounders, right? Because we were branded as West Coast ABA guys.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Right.
We wanted to like, no, we're everything. We can win on these tracks too. And we would hype each other up for that. Seriously, man, because we wanted to come back east. We want to make a mark.
JV, going back to your list of the guys that you mentioned, that John Shackle mentioned, and I want to first start out by saying that there was a name from that list that jumped out to me that he didn't mention, and that was his sister, Kathy Shackle.
Yeah.
You know, I'll talk about a dominator. Holy cow.
Yeah.
You know, but again, part of who we want to talk to, and it's a couple things. One's whose cell phone numbers I have, and who would make interesting interviews.
Right.
And I say for this, the first time ever, I think we should put it out to, since we're doing this podcast like this, we should put it out. Who do they think? Who do our listeners think we should have?
Right.
This is going to be an interesting episode to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's hear who it is.
I think the interesting exercise is for us to think of East Coast people that, possibilities, I should say, because we'll let the audience decide at the end of the day. But like, who do we think are some contenders, and then try and figure out which ones are ahead of others in terms of maybe success, or, right. The same way we do it for everybody else on the West Coast.
Well, part of it too is, and I love this, is we always consider who's going to be a good interview.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Who's going to be good for conversation. And we've had some great ones. They're funny.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of guys I can think, we all could sit here all night long and talk about guys guys and girls who have not got as much recognition as the West Coast people have, whether they're from Florida or from all points east, wherever you want to call it,
Right.
But there's a lot. The list could be huge. And I know that for me, I'm going to save my list, but I would like you guys to create a list, and I'd like to argue it with you guys too.
I got my list.
Oh, you got your list.
I got my list.
Let's hear it.
Oh man,
you know me, dude. I didn't.
I'm going to shoot holes in everyone he says.
Okay, look, I'm just throwing East Coast names out.
Okay,
we can.
Well, let me ask you a question. If they lived on the East Coast but they moved to California, do they still count? Oh, radio silence. Listen to that.
He's trying to think who you're talking about.
I can think of three
Robbie,
or four
guys. But
Robbie's an East Coast guy.
But he moved to California.
That's right.
Yeah.
Spanky Campbell.
TC.
Yeah, but
TC doesn't count, right? Because he's from Florida.
Yeah, but I'm going to concede for this. I'm going to consider Florida. I'm going to go geographically.
I have made my list exactly the same way, EC. So
right.
I'm missing people. But
I got one more. I have to name.
Go ahead.
Of an East Coaster that moved to California and then got on the map. David Clymer.
I was just gonna say Clymer. I don't know do I have Clymer on my list here? I don't think. No.
Imagine how good he could have been if he was born in California and didn't run his bar so stupid forward.
Clymer was.
Dude, that guy was insane.
Yeah.
He was so gnarly, dude.
He was 3 inches ahead of everybody in the gate because he ran his bars all shy.
Dude, he was fast.
God, he was
fast.
He was a good rider of his. I don't know how he could compete with his bar so far forward. It made him squirrely and made him crash. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, of course he did. But he was so determined.
Yeah. It's because he had that East Coast chip on his shoulder.
He did. That's what I'm talking about.
All right,
JV, let's hear that list.
Ready?
Let's go. Yeah.
Here's my list. Not in. I don't think
no
any
order.
Specific.
Could
be a little bit. Timmy Judge, Farside, Kathy Shackle, Kenny Amon, Jim Paiva, Spanky Campbell, Mark Lopez, Franco Perino, Chris Williams, Jarrett Justice, Wayne McFarquhar, Justin Shepard, Robbie Morales, Judd Ciancio, Vince Asbury, Jenny Zooner, Todd Corbett, Shelby James, Roland Veidt, Billy Farrell, Dollar Dave.
The late Billy Farrell.
Yeah, but
tough to have him on.
Brad Dalback, Ronnie Walker, Frankie Churlo, Kenny Pasco, and then the Fosters.
Dude, that's pretty solid.
He doesn't like it.
Greg and Brian Esser.
Oh yeah, the Essers. Yeah.
If you're counting Florida.
That's why we got you here.
Yep. Yeah. Lenny Baticki.
Lenny. Yep.
Okay, I got to get off of Florida.
Go ahead.
I still say Mrs. Hatfield.
Yeah, and Shan.
Yeah, yes.
Well, we could have Shan on there, but if you have Shan on, you're going to get Mrs. Hatfield anyway.
Exactly.
You ain't keeping her off the phone.
No.
If we're moving up, the entire Allen family, right? Billy Allen,
Neil,
Darley Neal. Yep. Their parents run in Howard County. They ran 3 tracks at once.
You guys passed North Carolina. Well, he's North Carolina now.
Yeah, see, he's North Carolina now. You can't put Mikey in East Coast. Come on.
No, I'm talking about Craig Reynolds.
Oh, see.
But he was Midwest before because he was Chi-Town. He's
see that. There's a lot of people I would still add to that list. But if you narrow it, if you take Florida out, for me, if you look at, there's a couple things to look at. Like if you look at magazine covers, who comes to mind?
Right.
The first East Coaster to get a magazine cover was from New Jersey.
Yeah.
Sal Zuner, Jenny's brother.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep. And then I think that was I wrote it down. It was the 14th cover ever. April, May of 79 with Sal Zuner. It
was like at Craigmere or something like that.
Yep, correct. The 20th cover in September of 81. 20th cover was Tim Judge on Thruster. So early on, East Coast was on the cover of the magazine. Then the next time it didn't come up till 81 was John Pyatt from Missouri. Now, to me, it's East Coast.
Yeah.
It's not East Coast. That's, to me, Missouri is the South. In May of 1979, BMX Plus had their first East Coast cover. It was the Eastbound Special, and it had races from Arizona, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Florida. And they call that their Eastbound race special.
So to them, everything east of California.
Yeah, that's right. You see?
Same thing. They're right with us. and they had just two little kids from Florida. I don't even know who they were. They weren't even, 2 little kids from Florida racing. And then when you look at I look at criteria. Other thing is, you were talking about titles. Like, who were the first number 1 riders for NBA, or let's say NBL? The first 2 number 1 riders, pros. Any idea? Greg Esser, then Sal Zuner. And then after that, it didn't go until the 90s until the next person that wasn't from California won. It was John Pearce. And the next person after that, Christophe Levesque. Someone from another country. So no more East Coasters for number 1 pros.
Really?
In the NBL.
Wow.
Every number 1 pro after that was from California.
Wow.
Or I'm sorry, West Coast, because Gary Ellis won it 3 times.
Yeah. Greg won it.
Stu Thompson, Greg Hill, a couple guys won it twice. And then Terry Tennant won it 3 times.
Yep.
There was a couple guys that won it 3 times. Gary Ellis is another one that went 3 times. But nobody from the East Coast.
No.
Wow.
Yeah. What? When you stop and think about it, there's number 1 amateurs. Number 1 amateurs. So who would be number 1 amateur that was from the East Coast? I can only think of 2. And one's from Florida, so he doesn't count.
I think I'm not sure if David Milham got it one year or not. I know he took Shelby James out one year in the last turn.
Right. So that was Shelby James was one.
Shelby, yeah.
If David Milham he's another Florida guy.
Yeah.
Kenny Amon.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think Kenny Amon, I love the guy to death. I think he'd be a great interview. He's funny. He's talkative. Yeah. I think he'd be a great interview.
But
and he's not from Florida.
Yeah. Well, I was always a big fan of Ronnie Gasca. I always liked that guy's riding style, man. I loved watching him race, and he was so nice and soft-spoken and just humble and like really good guy, man. So, and he was fast too, man. He was fast as shit. And Timmy Strzelecki.
Oh yeah,
watching Timmy Strzelecki race, man.
Yeah,
that kid was all heart all the time, dude. He'd race you back to your rental car. I mean, dude, he never, ever, ever gave up. And I loved watching that. I loved watching those two guys ride. And I think those guys grew up pretty close to each other and kind of fed off each other, riding the same stuff that, the Shoreham place, right? And then with Robbie and in that little zone, in that little pocket, those guys all pushed each other. So there was a good little push that came out of that zone.
Yeah. Yeah.
High Performance came out of that zone too.
Yeah, he did.
If you think about, and I don't know, I think parts of Northern California too, it gets cold. I don't know if you can ride as much, but the Northeast, you only have 7 months of, you do get stuck with that cold. Kenny from upstate, I mean,
that's gnarly.
That's a feat, for him to have broken through like that. Because
where was John Copeland from?
Oklahoma.
Was he?
Yeah, it's the East Coast.
I don't know why.
He's East Coast. Yeah, but you had indoor tracks. You had, there was the Armory and Howard County.
You had tracks. I mean, we could race indoor. We had the jerseys, but you can't practice. We rode anyway, but it's not the same. We found our way. Everyone found their way to ride in the snow and out, but it's not the same.
I don't know how Jimmy Paiva did it in Massachusetts, dude. And he was, every time the races went back, went back there, he'd make the main. He'd make the pro main, and he'd hold people accountable. I was always blown away, and he's a nice guy, super good guy to talk to.
Wow. I think he used to race in jeans. I think I've seen pictures of him racing in jeans.
He was the first 09 guy I ever saw. Yeah.
So gnarly.
Man.
Yep. I know. I just think that, there was a lot of fast guys from the East Coast. But when we separate Florida out, it really changes the dynamic.
I agree.
I mean, with Mike Savage still racing fast, even though JV almost beat him in Texas.
Yeah, JV.
I don't think I almost beat him, baby. But he's not Florida.
No, exactly. When I said, when you take out Florida, it really changes if you take out Florida, it really changes the dynamic of who we're talking about. And you have to add, you got to add, for longevity alone, you have to add Savage in there.
Oh yeah.
Darren Waterbury.
The water buffalo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The dude.
That guy was fast too, man. That guy was really fast.
Super fast. Shit, he was in my class. My God.
Took me to my first White Castle.
Did he?
Really?
Yeah. First time I went to White Castle was with Waterbury.
Wow.
I hung out with Waterbury a fair bit at the races, dude. Seriously, I like hanging out with him, listening to him.
Had that long hair.
Tell stories, dude. Oh man,
lovely long hair.
If we did a group one, a good one would be a group one. If we did the New Jersey guys, if you did Franco Perino and Judd Ciencio and Rich Farside, and you got to put Mark in there too, because just for the fireworks.
I love it.
Yeah, you put Lopez in there. There's gonna be some fire.
Oh, you got to put Mark in it. Man, Mark, him and Franco are still where they were close back then. I think they're still good buddies now. Still, I think I saw something where they still.
It would be. You know what? We could put those 4 on. You could put those 4 on, and we could just sign off and let them talk.
They just go.
They would just go.
They have some stories, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'd love to hear their take on West Coast, East Coast.
Oh man, I would love. I mean, dude, Judd would be all time. I could only imagine.
Oh my gosh,
Judd would.
I would love to have Judd on and not have EC on, and just let Judd rail you.
He would just go, man.
Yeah, I love that guy. He's hilarious.
I get on so good with Judd, dude. Seriously, man. I talk with him quite often, and from when I was working at Hyper, and we're still pretty close friends, dude. And dude, he is salt of the earth, funny guy, man. Just
salty salt.
Oh my god, his stories are so good.
And you just push his buttons. You just push his buttons a little bit, and man, it gets him going.
Yeah.
That's right, Judd. It's a shame. You should have been the terrible 10. That's all you have to say.
Dude. Yeah. You would get so mad.
Too bad you didn't move to California like you should have, Judd. Oh, I love it.
He was quick though, dude. He was really
yeah.
He won a lot of races.
He did.
He knows all of his races, James. You know that.
I think you've told me that.
Running log of all of his national wins. He knows how many national wins he had. I think he has motos too, dude.
More importantly, he knows everyone that ever cut him off in any race, and they may not even know about it, but he remembers every single one.
Just waiting to get him back.
Oh yeah, you're on my list. He's on my list. On my list.
Yes, Judd.
You talk about somebody. Oh yeah, this guy he's from Maryland. He's a nice guy. Oh no, he cut me off. No, I hate that guy.
Love it. I know why you were asking about guys that left Florida and went to California, because there's two guys that were, one of them is still insanely fast racing. So the Root brothers, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Were they from Florida?
Yeah, they lived in Florida.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they were Florida.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
Huh.
I remember.
Yep. But he was living in California when he won the NBL #1 rider.
Okay.
#1 pro.
Okay.
Just saying. Coming to California makes you faster. It does. It had
I'm
just
not
ability to race.
I have to believe it. The people, right? I mean, we talked about it the last time. Just practice, just racing your local at Orange. I mean, made you better.
Dude.
Just doing that.
Tammy Williver.
Ooh, look at
East
you.
Coast. Yeah,
look at you.
She was fast.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Jason Theodore. Yeah, the kid was huge for his age.
He was, actually.
Yeah. There's some fast kids, fast guys.
But it is weird, right? It is weird that none of them transitioned from that to winning at a high level in pro, right? Nelson Chanady.
How did we forget? How did Nelson Chanady wait until now to get on the list? He was national #1 amateur.
Yeah.
But he's from Florida, so it doesn't count. Just like cruisers, doesn't count.
But it's weird that none of those guys actually made the jump and did it as a pro, right? And never that's weird. It is kind of weird. I wonder why.
I do think that Nelson won a race or two as a pro.
Oh, I'm not saying that those guys didn't win races.
But never was a powerhouse. Yeah, never was a powerhouse or dominant rider in any way, or won any memorable race that I can think of any one of those guys we've named. Kenny Amon was so small, so skinny, and ran such a he's just was spinning so much. I think he couldn't have done it because you could just knock him off the track. I'm not meaning that in a mean way. I mean, just the fact is,
you know what, man? It's almost I can only think of a few pros that went in. I guess Brian Foster came one turn away from being ABA pro champion, literally one turn away in the third main. So that would have been a thing. But
Todd Corbett.
Yeah. but I can't think
Had
of
to move
guys.
to California. Had to move to California though.
It's almost like you really needed to commit and be in the beehive of California.
Like Adam,
in the nest.
Southern California.
Adam Richards and Eric Abadesa were Florida guys, and they raced pro, and they were pretty fast. They wrecked a lot. They didn't race smart all the time. They were really fast though, and they raced as pros, but it just no fast amateurs. I can't. It's like they quit racing when they turned pro. Like they just didn't turn pro. Rich Farside, I don't ever remember him racing pro. Shelby James never made it. He never raced as a pro. You know, like it's like they just stopped racing.
Vince Asbury,
right?
Guy was so fast. A little bit on the Kenny battle, the Kenny Amon. Kind of a smaller stature guy that would really get spinning, and you could move him over. You could push him off the track. You could push him out of your way. He was super fast.
Didn't you tell me a story about where he put like soda on his grips or something?
No. He'd race you first time I went to Florida to race and I saw him on the grip. He put napkins on his grips.
Yes.
Vince Asbury would put napkins on his grip, and I looked over at him in practice. I was like, it's kind of smart because you sweat so bad, even your gloves would be slimy. You look over and he wrapped his grips with napkins. I was like, you know what? Pretty smart. Man, at his home track, first track that had the concrete berms down there in Florida by Miami, there was no touch. I think he got in pro practice and he got kicked out of pro practice because he was making pros look bad.
No way.
Yeah, he was waxing. He was waxing.
Just waxing dudes.
Well, it's because you know why? Because when you take off in the gate and your hands would twist on your grips, and his were staying strong with the napkins. The napkins were keeping him in place. The Hardee's napkins.
I love it.
Either your Hardee's or Waffle House napkins. I'm not sure which one his preference was.
That's crazy, man. It's weird to think about that.
It's weird to think about that whole thing.
Today, if you go to racing today, Florida is so strong because they have so many tracks. Where you look at Southern California, there's not that many tracks.
Yeah.
Florida, you can race year round. California can race Southern California can race year round.
Yeah.
Northern California can race year round. But Florida is such a stronghold. I mean, and you look at where all the pros, where people are coming from around the world to train is in Florida now.
Wow. Yeah, Florida has become like the California.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, part of it, I mean, part of it has to do with cost of living too.
Cost of living.
True.
Yeah.
I'm sure that does have a lot to do with it.
There's no dudes getting rich. Well, there's a couple of guys that are making some money at BMX, but for the most part, if you're a pro, dude,
you're
still working
something else.
Season.
Right.
So it's a little cheaper in Florida. And I think they have access, the top pro guys now are trying to access the Supercross series stuff, I think. And I think they have more access closer. They can go up to Mikey's track up in Rock Hill. I think the facilities are a little bit better on the East Coast for them than the West Coast. I don't even know if that, they closed that Olympic Training Center thing to the BMX stuff out here in Chula Vista, and they took the Hall of Fame to Oklahoma. And I don't even know if riders practice on that Chula Vista track and those tracks anymore. I don't ever see any video of BMX guys practicing there anymore. It's weird.
That was an awesome track though.
Yeah. Remember that, JV?
Couldn't believe it when I saw that.
I couldn't believe it either, man. I saw when they had the Olympic trials there to make the Olympic team. That was the first time I'd seen any of those tracks. I was like, you got to be shitting me.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what the?
You are not.
What happened?
When I saw they had grass in between the two big doubles, and I thought to myself, well, how do you practice that?
Exactly.
I mean, it's
you just go.
You just go. Listen, I'm good. And I'm thinking my fat old self. Oh, I'll just go. I'll jump it. I'll jump it. I would try it. Well, I'll jump it. Yeah. If it's built, I don't think about that. Oh, the added 60, 70, 80 pounds. It's just going to affect the flight duration.
You could get the first straightaway, but I don't think after the first turn, I don't think you're getting enough oomph
I got me some oomph. Right here. All my oomph is right here.
All those jumps are like the first jumps into any of the trails at Whistler, dude. Those are squirrel catchers.
Yeah.
If you can't clear the first one out of the first turn, you're not getting any of them.
Dude, let me tell you this. I'm gonna I jump the first one and just pull off. Okay, I'm done. Let's go to the taco truck. I'm good.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if those guys come out. I know sometimes I've seen videos where they've put like wood in between some of the jumps, but I don't know if they do that on all the jumps. And I've always thought it always is trippy to me, because if they're not racing, I mean, I know they do race on those tracks, but like, if you're going to practice on those tracks and you're going to have your top riders riding those tracks, I think all the jumps should be filled in. All the gaps that have the big holes, I think they should all be filled in. Then the riders can really, really hone in how to be super, super precise. Right?
Well, why does filling them in make them more precise?
Because you can come up short without really dying, right? If you put safety decks on those things, you can push.
You can practice to be
tough. I'm not gonna clear it. I can deck out. Oh, I get it. I can deck out.
Yeah.
And then you can really know how far you can push that, right? I mean, what those guys, it's the same thing with Supercross. I always trip out when I go to the Supercross tracks and I see all these big gaps, and you hear preseason all these Supercross riders getting busted up. Oh, he crashed on the practice track. Oh, he crashed on the practice track. I'm like, dude, why do they have huge gaps? Like, they know it doesn't have to be a triple. It doesn't have to be a big quad. It can be filled in for practice, and then you can get it dialed without getting busted up. It always trips me out when they don't.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Well, hey, EC, I don't know how you race downhill, because how do you practice going fast over all rocks and trees and what have you? How do you practice that day in and day out without getting hurt?
For me, honestly, I would practice in sections. Like, and when I would go, seriously, this is a true story, and I tell people this, I was scared to death. Coley used to laugh at me. When I started racing mountain bike, Coley told me, "You're never going to make it, dude. He goes, you're never going to make it as a downhiller because you're too scared to go fast." And he was right. I was scared to death. But you know what? You know how I am, dude. I'm pretty meticulous. So I figured it out. I studied video, but I would go to a World Cup, and if I was scared of the track or scared of the course or scared of a gap or scared of something, dude, often I would only do it one time in my final run. And the guys who would get my mechanics and stuff would get some other, like, dude, you have to practice it. I'm like, if I hit that first run and I do that 14 times, the odds are getting worse for me.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and I don't know, man, I always felt like I could pull it off, that I could do it once. And so I would do it once, but I would always practice slow, dude. I always felt like anytime you get to a given track or course, you light a fuse, and depending on how gnarly the course is, the fuse is longer or shorter. And so I would try to manage that over the course of a race weekend and try to stay healthy the best I could.
JV, you would stare at doubles.
Fuck yeah.
JV would go to the track and he would just stare at the doubles.
Look at that.
He'd watch it, and he'd watch other guys jumping, and he'd just stare at them.
I couldn't do that, dude.
I had to figure that shit out.
Yep, he had to figure it out.
It was worse for me. It was worse for me to stare and watch it. I'll tell you one good story, not BMX, but it's mountain bike. And I got completely jacked. My mind was, I couldn't, dude, I ended up failing. It was World Championships in New Zealand. It was 4-cross World Championships. And they built this track, this course, man. And it had the biggest jumps and the biggest corners and like these huge roll-ins, but the takeoffs were built wrong, right? So they had like tight pocket at the bottom and then a lot of flat. So you would it would like load up and then unweight. So you go off it the wrong way. And I'm short. My legs are super short. So I was buzzing my ass on my back tire, and it was stopping me and throwing me over the bars. And so there was a couple of jumps that I couldn't get my mind over the first day. And I was up there and I'm like, dude, I got to walk away. I can't stand here and watch this. A lot of guys were getting it. So I spent all night talking myself into it. the whole night. Woke up, next thing, go up to the course, first, practice, I'm getting ready. First rider I see, really fast girl, really fast girl from Australia, turns the left-hand corner, rolls in, no brakes it, gets bucked over the bars, lands on her head, paralyzed.
Oh, God.
Dude, right in front of me.
Oh, God.
All that night of talking yourself into it, done.
I went like this. I rode down to the finish line. I actually told Kanipa, I was like, dude, I don't think I can do it. I said, I really don't think I can get past it. The wall is so big for me. I don't think I can get past it. And so talked myself into it again. Totally okay. Going to go to qualifying. I was so jacked up by the one jump that I crashed in the turn before it. I fell over.
I
just fell.
Yeah.
I never fall in turns, dude.
Wow.
It's almost like your mind did that for you.
Yeah, it was crazy, dude. I just slid out, man. I went into the corner. I wasn't thinking about the corner. I was obsessed with the jump. That was one time that I couldn't. Dude, it got me.
Did you ever jump it?
I never jumped it. Yeah, it got me. It got the best of me.
Hey, you know what? That happened to me once too. They had a national at Montclair, California. It was a 2-day race, right? One day was at one track, I forget where, Azusa.
Claremont. It was at Claremont.
Yes.
There was a Claremont track and a Montclair track.
Yeah, and Montclair had this crazy jump or crazy first turn. It was like a long ramp, and it dipped down into the turn, and then it came right back up again. And I said to myself, and everyone would you coast up to it, you drag your brakes a little bit, and you drop down, and as you're turning, then you'd go up the next one. And I thought to myself, we went out there on Friday to practice, and I thought to myself, I was with my nephew Tony and some other guys, and there were people that are practicing. And I thought to myself, you know what? If you just hauled ass all the way up the ramp and just bunny hopped, you could clear the whole gap and land on the backside.
Right.
And so I just thought to myself, yeah, I think you can do it. And I remember hauling ass in practice. I went straight up and I pulled up as hard as I could, and I aired out. So I'm like 25 feet in the air, and I landed on the backside. It was perfect. It was way faster. Way faster. I can't imagine doing it. Like if you're in second place, you're going to jump over somebody.
Yeah.
But I did it, and it was like, yeah, I can do it. And I went the next day, we went to whatever the race was, and I raced. And it was great. No problem. And that night, all I kept thinking about was I can't wait to go out there and race. I can't wait to race. I can't wait to jump over somebody.
Yeah.
Because everyone else is going to slow down. I'm just going to keep going and I'm going to launch over.
Right.
I was thinking to myself, I don't think I practiced going down it. And if I don't get a good start, for half a second, I thought, if I don't get a good start, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
It's going to suck. But then I said, okay, no, you're going to get a great start and you're going to do it. And then that night I got super sick and couldn't race the next day. I never got to do it. And then like a week later, I saw Pistol Pete, and he came up to me and Blonde Carriage goes, hey man, I heard you jump that thing. And I was more proud of jumping that than anything else.
That's crazy. Man.
Stupid.
Yeah.
That's one of those things where it had to come up a little bit short or just a little bit short. It would have been catastrophic.
I know the track. I know the section on the track you're talking about.
That head tube would have that head tube would have busted off so fast.
Yeah. And it felt awkward to do it the other way. It was slow to drop in, rolling in the roll.
It was wrong.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it didn't feel right.
But it was a far gap with no lip. It was literally like a loading ramp. You just had to bunny hop, pull up really high.
It wasn't made to jump. It was not made to jump. As a double.
Gotcha.
Well, you remember that year on tour with Hutch? We went to so many local tracks, and I would look at two jumps and I'd say, "Oh, those aren't made to jump, but I'm going to jump them." I wanted to be the first guy to jump the stuff. And the same thing, I jumped it. Well, I'm done. I don't care if we
come sprinting as fast as you can.
Pull it up really hard. How in the world I didn't break more Hutch frames?
I know.
I never bent any forks. I was just busted the head tubes off of them. Anyway, East Coast. Love me
East
some East
Coast.
Coast. Listen, as many good East Coast guys there are great East Coast conversations. And we're talking about bike shops. Sal Eckel. I don't remember what bike shop he was at, but that guy was fantastic. It was in Astoria. The bike shop. I think it was called Bicycle World, maybe. I don't know. But he was a big Patterson guy, big, huge GHP guy. He was a bike shop owner, or he ran a bike shop, and he was super into BMX. Reed Rollins at Wheel World. Or Wooden Wheels, I mean.
Wooden Wheels.
Yeah, Reed Rollins. He raced BMX Cruiser.
Bicycle World was the one in Howell.
Yeah, that's right. Right at the track.
Yeah.
Right at the track. Yeah.
Right at the track. That was a big one. Action Wheels was another big one down there.
There is an East Coast bike shop we have talked about.
Clifton Speed Center.
Fran at Clifton Speed Center. Cosmic Wheel.
Cosmic. Yep.
Another cool bike shop. Did you know any bike shops? EC, ever going to you?
Not really. I never went into shops.
Yeah,
we never did. When we were in Hutch, we never went to the shops. We just went to the tracks.
Yeah, we went to the tracks. We did clinics at the tracks.
Yep.
So I love to go. I'm fortunate that the job I have, I still love going to bike shops.
Oh man. When I did the GT, when I was racing mountain bikes and I did that GT dealer tour, like at JV, I had like this dealer thing where I would go in the week before an event and I would go to all the dealers with the local reps. And dude, I had so much fun in New York and in the city. Me and Kanipa. I don't remember the names of the shops I went to, but
yeah.
Oh my gosh, dude. Those guys were so happy to see us. And they said, nobody from any other brands ever comes in. No riders, nobody ever comes to see us. This is amazing. Dude, we were riding this. We went to this one shop and they had these, you see those raised up like double frame bikes that are like super tall.
Yeah.
Trikes and shit. Dude, they had like a fleet of them. So we jumped on those things with music and shit. And we were ripping all through. I think we might've been in the Bronx, dude. And we were ripping through the Bronx with boomboxes and shit, riding those bikes. Dude, those guys loved it. It was so fun. I loved going to those shops and talking to those guys and getting a slice and just like, dude, we dove into the culture and listened to those guys talk. And that was what they wanted, they just wanted you to come talk to them. Nobody comes saw them.
You know why? Because they were East Coast.
East Coast.
All the shops in Southern California got visited all the time.
Dude, there was a shop and I forget the reps. The rep told me, he goes, I'm not allowed to go into that shop. And the guy owned 7 stores and it was in the city. And he had 7 stores in the city. And he goes, I'm not allowed to go in those stores. I said, what do you mean you're not allowed to go in those stores? He goes, yeah, the owner, he runs out of a central office. He does all the ordering. He doesn't want me to go into the shops and he doesn't want me to talk to the employees. I said, well, he never told me that. And dude, I went into all the stores and talked to all the guys. And I made sure I said, hey man, just wanted to come thank you for your business with GT. Check out your store. I'm only going to be here for about 7 to 10 minutes, dude. I know you're busy working. Make sure you tell the owner I came in, but I left because I wanted to let you do your job. Dude, this rep, he wrote the biggest order he goes, dude, you crushed it. He goes, I can't believe like you cracked. He goes, I'm allowed to go in the stores now. I can go in the stores. It was awesome, dude. It was some of the most fun time I had doing stuff like that was going to the city and visiting shops and talking to those people and letting those people talk about their shop and their basement and all it was amazing. I had a good time.
Yeah. Hey, tell them what the name of the tour was.
The Good Times Tour.
It was the Good Times Tour.
The GPs, the Good Times Tour. We had fun, dude. Me and Sniper, we had a good time. It was great seeing all those people. And I mean, dude, I took Sniper to a Yankee game. It's so good, dude. We were like 7 or 8 blocks away from the stadium. And I just happened to say, dude, we should see if the Yankees are playing tonight. And they were playing the Orioles. So I said, let's go, dude. And so we walked down, we just walked to the stadium, went in, walked up, bought tickets, $13 a piece.
Yeah.
It's cheap, dude. I was really surprised. So, and it was in the new stadium. And
awesome.
Watched the game. We had time. It was really, really awesome. I'm walking out and cab lines long, everything, the train station, all that. So we start to walk back and it's dark.
Oh God.
So we're walking back from the stadium and I stopped.
It's not recommended.
And I started tying my shoes and Sniper was like, dude, what are you doing? I said, bro, you got to tie your shoes, man. He goes, what do you mean? I said, if we have to run, you don't want one of those untied shoes that you have, those slip-ons you have blowing off, dude. He goes, are you for real? I'm like, absolutely. Tie your shoes, put your hoodie on, pull it tight, straightforward, walking with a purpose. We're getting back to the day's end.
Dude, I can't believe you walked
7 blocks.
JV, do you remember the time we went to the Yankee Stadium? The old stadium? And the kid, yeah. When Tom May was working, when we saw
Don
Mattingly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the day before or the day they were leaving for spring training.
I remember that.
Yeah. And we parked and the little kid tells JV's in his company car. He goes, hey, mister, I'll give you $10 to make sure nobody scratches your car. And JV goes, well, who's going to scratch my car? And the kid goes, I will if you don't give me the $10. Never forgot that. It was great.
See, you don't hear that in Florida.
No. Oh, you know what? You don't hear that in Maryland. South of Philly, they don't say that.
Pennsylvania up.
Hey, excuse me, sir. Pardon me, sir. Would you like me to wash your car while you're going into the Orioles Stadium?
That's what I'm talking about.
Give me $10 so nobody scratches your car. Who's going to scratch your car? Me, if you don't give me the $10. See? So good. Oh man. You know, another bike shop I wanted to go give a shout out. I'm positive it's not in business anymore. But JV and I used to go there every Wednesday. We go to the bike shop.
John's Derailleur
in State College, Pennsylvania.
Oh,
wow.
Fast forward, who knew? Clayton John. He had a bike shop.
Yeah.
He sold bike parts and hockey gear. And who knew he would end up being the president of the ABA? And we would go in on Wednesday to buy parts for Woodward Camp.
Brother, it was if your bike broke, you had to wait until Wednesday. When we went into town and went to the bike, this is before they even had a shop at Woodward. You had to just wait, you know.
And really, you waited till Thursday because we would dick around all day in State College while we were there.
It was crazy.
We went to Kmart. We went to all
that really was where Clayton John came from.
Yeah, State College, Pennsylvania. And
wow.
That was his bike shop. And it was a tiny hole in the wall.
Tiny.
And the first couple of weeks of camp at Woodward, he didn't have BMX parts. We started telling, hey, can you order this? Can you order that? And, you know, like we bought every 20-inch tube he had the first week.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's crazy, right?
Hey,
crazy.
Where was that thing?
What's that?
I just searched it up.
John's Derailleur.
Yeah, I have Derailleur Bike Shop, but I don't know if...
No, John's Derailleur in State College, Pennsylvania.
I searched up State College, and this one says it's in Butler County, but I don't think Butler County's in...
No.
Yeah, that's crazy. Wow.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. That was...
Clayton John, dude. Wow.
Had a bike shop, right? Whenever I see him, I always try to remember to say something about it.
The only shop is called The Bicycle Shop in State College. No, it's not a hole in the wall.
Oh, I'm sure it's not.
Dude, I can't believe Clayton John started with a bike shop. What a story.
Right?
Dude, what a story. Dude.
Right? From timing, it was tiny. And it was, like I said, it was bikes in the summer and hockey gear in the winter.
Yeah.
Ice skates and what have you.
We would go to the bike shop. I mean, I think I got this right. We would go to the bike shop and then we would race at a track over there Pottstown.
Yeah,
What the
that's
heck is
right.
the name of that track? That's where I met the Fosters.
Yeah,
was over there.
we raced at another BMX track. It
Yeah.
wasn't at Woodward.
It wasn't at Woodward. There'd be another race. We would go there. We would race.
Pottstown is
I want to say it was Pottstown. I can't remember exactly, but we would. Yeah, it was kind of scrappy. The whole thing was a little bit scrappy in the beginning.
Woodward's was scrap. In the beginning was scrappy. That was 40 years ago this year.
It's amazing.
40 years ago this year. Yeah.
Shut up.
We didn't have a bike shop until year 2 or 3.
Yeah.
2.
And then we made it.
Yeah, we started our own bike shop at the camp.
Yeah.
40 years ago.
40 years ago this year is when Woodward started. It was a gymnastics camp and their numbers were off. It was like, 19 girls to one boy. And they wanted a sport that was more boy specific at that age range. So they came up with the idea of BMX. And so they went to Chandler. And I guess they probably talked to Clayton John. And they went to Chandler and they figured out, hey, yeah, this is going to be the demographic was perfect. So they said, we're going to have a BMX program at Woodward Camp.
That is bananas, dude.
That was crazy.
40 years.
They built the track and they started camp and then it rained every single, remember JV? Couldn't even ride the track.
The first week, it rained
whole week
every day. Every day. You didn't get on your bike the first week.
Just in the cabin the whole time.
No, it took them in the gym.
Oh,
no. They took us into the pit, into the gyms where all the gymnastics stuff was going on, and they were just making shit up. We learned we learned how to fall. They taught us how to fall. Like
Ed Isabel, the camp owner, one of the camp owners, he was like a whatever, US champion gymnast back in the day. Okay, boys, here's how it works. You're going to learn how to do the 3-point roll.
3-point roll.
I remember it, the 3-point roll. And he had us first, you'd stand there and he'd teach you how to roll.
Right.
First your hand, your elbow, then your shoulder. And you rolled over.
And then you stand on top of stuff and then jump off it.
And he build up these pads and you onto the spring floor and you would just jump off and land and roll out of it. And some kids are not that coordinated and they were just turfing it right into the carpet.
They were only doing the 2-pointer.
They were starting on step number 2 and missing out on the first one.
I mean, meanwhile, we race on a friggin' bike that goes, on dirt. How are we gonna roll?
Yeah.
Amazing.
And to his credit, though, Ed Isabel, to his credit, when the track got opened, and he was out there, he got a cruiser, a 26-inch cruiser, and started racing on the track.
Wow.
Yeah.
And ate it way more than once.
Yeah.
And he thought when your arm was all skinned up, he thought it was hilarious when he found out we called it pizza skin.
Oh, he had it.
He would say it. He had arms were always like that, and he would always say, "Hey, check out my pizza skin."
Yeah, he definitely got it. He got the pizza skin.
Yeah. He got the pizza skin.
He did. He wrecked one time. I think going down the gravel pathway or something.
Do you remember the last straightaway on the track was like shale?
Oh man,
all shale.
EC, this thing you couldn't even imagine what week 1. The track wasn't ready. It rained every day. I mean, it was.
Then week 2, we opened the track, and it was literally shale on top of the dirt because the rain washed the dirt away. So it was just all sharp, flat rocks.
Yep. Like those. Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And if you fell, it would just tear your uniform and your skin off.
Yeah.
And then we'd send you. Then the kids would want to go they'd want to go see the nurse. JV, we're gonna have to edit this out. This is so.
What?
Yeah, we gotta.
Why? What happened?
First of all, it's unbelievable.
It didn't really happen. So what? They wanted to go to the nurse. What?
Yeah, because the nurse. 2 things. We're in the nurse's building was air conditioned, and we were out in this middle of summer in Pennsylvania, hot and humid. and they'd fall in the shell and they'd get all torn up and bleeding. And I'm gonna go down and see the nurse. JV, you got to tell it. I can't.
No, they would go see the nurse, but she had like one eye or something.
She had one eye.
She had like a one eye thing.
She didn't have a patch. She had a rubber eye, like skin colored eye piece that was glued to her face. But when she would start talking, it would start flapping open. And the story went, and I don't know that ever happened.
We don't know if it's true.
We don't know if it's true, but the rumor mill went crazy.
One of the kids came back. He had needed some assistance with it. He fell, and he came back, and his whole thing was, don't go see the nurse. Don't see the nurse. She put Bengay on my cut, on my wound. No. She used the Bengay as the ointment for his cut.
She only did that one time.
And from that point on, for years, for 2 years, kids would break their arm, and we'd say, "No, don't go see the nurse.
No, don't go see the nurse.
Don't go see the nurse."
Everyone started saying, "We're not going to see the nurse."
She's like, "I'm gonna slap Bengay on this kid, and nobody's ever coming to visit me in the office."
The one kid came back, and that was the big story. Everyone was like, "Get out of here! What are you talking about?" She put Bengay on my cut.
Oh my!
Well, God. Hey, listen. In her defense, number one, she only had one eye, so she really couldn't get depth perception. I don't know. Maybe they read the red label wrong or something. Number two, she was dealing with gymnasts. They get broken and sprained and ligaments and whatnot. They don't get their skin scraped off from shale.
They don't get pizza skin.
They don't get pizza skin. Yeah. So she wasn't used to working with deli meats. So she just put Bengay on it and sent him off.
You want to talk about, like, you insert these BMXers into a sterile, almost like you want to call it a sterile environment of gym that all girls, mostly girls.
Wow.
Club level gymnastic structure. Everything is absolutely structured. And they all show up for breakfast wearing the same uniform, the same, because they're club. Yeah. Everything's that's how it is. And then you put in not just BMXers, East Coast BMXers.
That's right.
I'll give you $10. Give me $10, I won't scratch your car. BMXers.
That was a target rich.
All the East Coasters.
That was they called that a target rich environment.
And these guys would come rumbling in, bleeding, smelling of Bengay, sweaty, dirty from the track, right? And 13, 14, 15-year-old guys, they're not showering. They're just going straight in there to eat.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The girls loved them, though.
They loved them. Well,
they were different. They were like, they were like
the gymnast boys,
kind of,
Some of the gymnast boys were not, they were wearing dolphin short, super, super short dolphin shorts and tight tank tops. And then you have dirty Bermuda shorts and baggy t-shirts and
didn't care. Yeah.
Long hair.
So good.
It was so good. It was like typical, exactly how you would picture the 80s.
I wonder how it is now. I wonder if it's still, you know what I mean?
You know what? It was even changing a little bit near the end. The gymnastics side wasn't, they were starting to wear, because then it became kind of popular, to wear Vans or baggy stuff. It started to mesh a little bit more, where it wasn't so divided. But in the beginning, it was super divided.
Oh, yeah.
Super divided.
Dude, I talked about this to somebody this week. Do you remember when the lady, the head of housing, wouldn't give us our paychecks?
Oh yeah, you were telling me. Yeah, we were.
Yeah, we're talking about wouldn't give us our paychecks because we didn't clean our rooms.
Because we didn't clean our rooms, our cabin. We were all in the same.
All the BMX guys,
we were all in the same cabin. Yeah.
So the gymnasts are mixed everywhere. The BMX guys, they just stuck us all in one cabin.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to keep everything. Gymnasts, everything's nice and neat and straight and structured. And we're BMX guys. Jerseys, sweaty jerseys are everywhere. Pants inside out with the blood stains on them and whatnot. Just everywhere.
Yeah. Think about this, EC. Like she's trying to tell. We were in the cabin. She's trying to tell Mike Polson, Greg Grubbs, Joe Baumert, hey, you gotta clean your room, and they're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, clean my room, dude. I just wait till Monday. The maid comes. What are you talking about?
You gotta clean your room. They're like, what do you mean?
Unless you clean your room.
Yeah, you're not gonna get paid. Yeah.
We just went straight to the owner.
Yeah.
Hey, what's with this lady? Doesn't want to give us our paychecks. Well, listen, we're leaving for the airport in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And this is Grubbs. Hey, I'm leaving for the airport, and if I don't get my check, I'm not coming back. So Grubbs we got our paychecks.
Yeah.
And it was me. Like for me, it was like, I don't care. Just leave the paycheck. I'll get it when I come back. I don't care. Yeah. But Grubbs was like, if I don't get my paycheck, I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
And I think he got his paycheck, and I don't think he came back anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was out.
He was out. Oh, yeah. You know what? He did not go. He did not.
I thought he was told not to come back.
He did not fit with the structure.
Yeah. That's what he says.
That's all part of a different conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
Well, East Coast. All right, so we're gonna put it to our listeners, to our friends, to the knobs, putting it out there to all the dirty knobs.
Yep.
Who?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Who's gonna be our next guest?
Yeah, well, I thought we were gonna put it to them.
That's what I'm saying. Let's put it out there to them.
Yeah.
Let's hear what you guys think we should interview.
And do you think? Okay, so let me stir the pot now. Do you think Florida's part of East Coast?
Well,
that's going to stir the pot.
I think for the exercise,
it's not gonna matter what we think, right? It's gonna be our listeners.
That doesn't matter what we think. Doesn't matter what we think.
That's true.
Right. Our listeners are gonna be the ones that hopefully give us names and give us someone to do. So,
yeah.
All right, fellas,
this could be interesting.
It'll. I'm sure it'll heat up the comment section.
Oh yeah, they're gonna be mad.
Yeah,
we forgot.
Some people will be mad. Yeah. Well, we definitely forgot names. Let's just say that we probably forgot some obvious ones that we just didn't, hadn't thought about. For sure, that's going to happen. I mean, there's
Karinsky Bullard.
I remember that name.
I'm going old school Florida.
Yeah, I remember that name. I remember that.
Hey, do you remember the one time, JV, we did this? EC, you might have done it too. We some late night somewhere, we were doing the fastest guy in each state.
Yeah, that's
in the beginning we did that.
Yeah.
We tried to we tried to knock it off and see.
Yeah.
But this one's a little different because what puts one person ahead of another? The first ones that come to mind to me is like a Timmy Judge versus a Far Side,
oh, no way. I don't. Well, say if you wait in Florida, I wouldn't put Timmy Judge as number one.
Wow.
But yeah,
he would be the first guy I would want to interview from Florida, but he's not the fastest guy in Florida.
But is the fastest is that the indicator that's
the fastest is in their class? I would say Shelby James.
Yeah.
That kid freaking dominated.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I mean, that got into our who was the most dominant amateur ever.
Yeah.
Discussion. And I remember we talked about that at Frogtown last year, remember?
Yeah.
And Eddie Eddie disagreed.
Eddie disagreed.
Yeah, he said Doug Davis. But dude, I never remembered Shelby losing a race.
I know. That's crazy,
Never.
right? It's crazy.
I remember him winning like at South Park by the last straightaway.
I was going to say, and winning
and
a
sitting
lot.
down.
Yeah.
Coasting across.
Because it was a little downhill at the last turn. I remember him sitting down in the last turn and just coasting to the finish line.
Yeah. He was insane, dude.
He was big for his age too.
Yeah.
His dad was big. And his brother was funny.
His brother was funny.
Funny.
Bobby was actually really, really funny.
Yeah. I mentioned Jason Theodore earlier. Yeah. His brother Brad too. Same thing. Hilarious. God, he would keep Tommy and I and Charles. We would be cracking up all the time. He'd keep Tommy and I just in stitches when we were on Torker. Yeah.
I think it's going to be interesting to name some of the names that come up, because you might say, well, why do you think that? Or right. Like,
yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
All right. All you people in Ohio. Oh, I'm sorry. You're not in this.
Oh man.
I know there were some fast dudes I raced in Ohio, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really fast. Billy Aw.
It's not the first person that came to my mind.
Mike Kinneopoulos, those were the two fast guys I raced out of Ohio. Those guys gave me fits, dude.
Todd Lyons, his first person that came to my mind. Jameson Hendler.
Yeah. And I raced Jameson a tiny bit, but I raced. Those were the guys that when I went back east for the first time. Those were the guys that I was like, I'd never heard of those guys.
Lewan Cunningham. Lewan?
Billy Aw and Mike Kinneopoulos were like, they were gnarly.
Billy Aw was tall.
Yeah, he was big.
Good starts.
Yeah. And you know what? He reminded me of Gary Ellis, the way Gary Ellis rides.
Yeah. Billy was the nicest guy ever, dude. Nice. It's just soft-spoken country corn.
You know why? Because he wasn't East Coast, Philly North.
He wasn't Philly, dude. He was not Philly.
He wasn't asking you for $10 to watch your car.
I didn't know Mike as well as I knew Billy Aw, but he was super nice. Those guys didn't have attitudes, dude.
Right.
They didn't have that. They never honked their horn when they were driving. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so good. Okay, boys.
Yep.
All right.
Good one. Hey, thanks, EC.
Yeah.
Back down to 7.
Huh?
I'm back down to 7.
Oh, yeah. You're a little late today.
Oh,
you're on the over.
I gave you benefit of the doubt because you were an hour later at the start. I thought you'd be, on the gate.
Dude. So what's
late to the gate?
It's the structure. It's all the structure.
You guys are keeping score.
Yeah, we have a $1 bet every week, every episode. I've been $8. The most I think was $9 down. I would say, and we bump the number 8 minutes, 9 minutes, how far late you're going to be, and whatever I would choose, I'd lose. Except for one, I got it down to 7. And I just went back to 8.
Yeah.
So I got it down to 7 now.
Oh my gosh.
Because I pushed the number low. He was so confident because you had an extra hour.
So confident.
You were going to be on time. I was like, nah, no. No, it's not my boy. It's not my boy right there. He would have been on time, but somebody cut him off in staging. Some guy from Florida would get in front of him, cut him off in staging.
Dude, I will say I lost track of time today. Plain simple. I was working with a new guy
today.
Yeah,
JV today.
Today I did.
Okay.
Yeah. Other times no.
Yeah. Hey, I do have to remark though. Starting later, did do one thing. Obviously, EC8.
Yeah.
I haven't eaten yet.
Wow.
I haven't eaten yet, dude. I'm starving.
So is it that we're all on the camera all the time and you can't go, oh yeah, tell him, JV. He gets off camera and starts chewing.
Yeah. Downstairs, dude. I got tacos waiting for me downstairs.
Oh man.
I just didn't have I didn't have enough time to get stuff ready. I didn't even have enough time to bring the food up.
Okay, fellas.
All
Love
right.
you long time.
Going to eat.
This is great.
I love it.
Enjoy the
boys.
tacos. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Later.
See ya.
Hey, this is John Cruz. No, we're not having an earthquake. I have Parkinson's. What do you think of that, Michael?
We ought to pitch in and get you a gimbal.
That would be nice. But seriously, this is John Cruz, and I obviously have something going on, and I was diagnosed with Parkinson's 20 years ago this year, actually. So I've chosen the Davis Finney Foundation over the years to be my voice for Parkinson's. If you're not familiar with the Davis Finney Foundation, Davis Finney is one of the winningest cyclists in American history. He's the roadie, if you guys remember those roadies out there, all that Lycra and stuff. But he is just a great man. When he was diagnosed with Parkinson's, he decided to make a difference in people's lives. And his choice was to start a foundation. And that foundation obviously wishes for a cure for Parkinson's, because there is no cure at this time. But they recognize that you have to live with Parkinson's. And your caregivers are having to live and take care of us. And the Davis Finney Foundation, that's what they do, is they only look for a cure, but they look for ways to enhance the quality of life for Parkinson's sufferers and their caregivers. So I appreciate all of you supporting the Davis Finney Foundation. It certainly means a lot to me. I know we all have something, right? So I think it's important to give back to our communities, whether it's BMX or a foundation that's close to your heart. If you don't have one, please choose mine. I appreciate you.
Well, thank you, John Cruz. You certainly have made a difference in a lot of lives, including mine, and giving us the opportunity to do something good for somebody else is fantastic. So thank you. Thank you so much. And on behalf of John Cruz, please find a way to give something to the Davis Finney Foundation on behalf of John Cruz, the Dirty Knobs, and your entire BMX family. Thank you very much. Well, I hope you enjoyed that one, you bunch of dirty knobs. So please do that. Subscribe, hit the subscribe button. Comment if you have anything to say. We'd love to hear it. And we will be back out here in 2 weeks with another one. And thanks to our sponsors. Speaking of which, we are going to read some commercials to you now. Thanks for showing our sponsors the love, because they're showing it to us. Thanks again, and we'll catch up to you soon. And then sing it out right now.
All right, coming live and direct from the Colt Clubhouse in Santa Ana, California. Come on down and get all your BMX needs. We're giving away free air for your tires. That's all I got, brother.
That's great. That's great. All right. Now.
It's perfect.
Perfect.
Kinda, designed for your journey. On the road, on the trail, or on the racetrack, you can count on Kinda quality. Our tires are engineered for performance and value across a wide range of interest and applications. See why Kinda is the right choice. It's your move.
Imagine how bikes can lead to a healthier, more connected world. Bikes set us apart, free to explore and move and experience our relationships with people and places like nothing else can. At Ceres, we don't just imagine a more bikeable world, we're all in, making it happen.
SR Sun Tour shares your passion of cycling. We are committed to giving you the highest level of service in the industry, along with products that hopefully will exceed your expectations. Serving riders is the cornerstone of our business, and we pride ourselves in doing it.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Velocity Bike Park is the premier bike park for riders in Southern California. With 25 miles of world-class trails, obstacles, flow track, and races for mountain biking, gravel, and BMX.
Ultramax, the makers of Ultramax high output gas supplement. Do your gate starts need a little boost? Do you want to blast the competition? Do you not like how crowded it is in staging? Well, just to start your race day with a few well-placed drops of Ultramax high-output gas supplement in a bowl of pinto beans, and you'll be blowing it up all day at the track. Ultramax high-output gas supplement is not available where electronics and clean underwear are sold, but you can still get an Ultramax t-shirt at dirtyknobs.com.
Hi everybody, Toby Henderson, founder of Box, co-founder of American BMX Companies, the owner of Race Inc., Botima, and Cook Brothers Racing. We brought these two companies together to bring you the best quality product you can get for a BMX bike. We're all about the rider, so please check out our Level Up and Rider First programs. See you at the track.
ODI Grips, the world leader in grip technology, home of the lock-on grip system. Check them out over at www.odigrips.com. 4416 Designs commercial, take one.
There you go. All right, 4416 Designs. We make shirts, but we don't sell them. We're just giving back to the sport. If you're out at Ukaipa BMX and you need a shirt, hit me up. I'll hook you up with one.
Yeah, I love that. Mega Design Group is a full-service marketing firm. They handle everything from logos to advertising to packaging. Having over 25 years experience in the print and marketing fields, they can handle any hurdle. Check it out at megadesigngroup.com.
Carbone Cartel, for the finest carbon BMX racing products in the market. Make sure you check us out at carbonecartelbmx.com. Our products are ridden by the best in the sport. Drew Polk, Nick Long, and many, many more. This isn't the cheap shit you get from Alibaba. Make sure you check us out again at carbonecartelbmx.com.
Cool Stop brake pads. High performance bicycle brake pads since 1977. Check them out at coolstop.com. That's KOOLSTOP.com. Supercross BMX. What can we say? Our lives revolve around BMX. Founded in 1989 to build the ultimate BMX race frame, they've never strayed from that vision. Hey, for more details, check it out at supercrossbmx.com.
Hey everyone, this is Brian Wilson with ProGate. We are the official gate supplier for UCI and the Olympics. We even make a gate that you can practice on in your driveway at home.
Wait a minute, who else are you making a gate for?
We're making a gate for Dirty Fest. You guys got to come and check it out. Whatever Dirty Fest needs for this track, we're going to supply it. We're not some French knockoff, you know. We're the gold standard in BMX gates. And make sure to check us out at progate.net and bmxtracksupply.com, and we'll see you at Dirty Fest for sure. Take care, everybody.
Hey, folks, this is Mike Rodriguez, a.k.a. Mr. Crit. I've been racing and making number plates since 1980. You know, like when they used to do one-pedal starts. But, you know, Crit Plate has been around for 43 years. The last 4 decades, the who's who of BMX have raced a Crit number plate straight to the handlebars. And, you know, you get that guy, Mike Savage, the international man of BMX, still doing it strong. And, you know, back in the day, the plates used to be reversible because there was multiple sanctions. And you could put, you know, one sanction on one side, one on the other. Now, you just got one. But Crit is still reversible, and that logo is still on the back for guys like Mike and your rad guys, like Mike Miranda, who would turn those handlebars and twist them up. And we got it rad just for you.
All right. Hey, where will we see those plates?
Those plates you can see at every single bike shop that stocks BMX stuff in the USA and Canada.
And where will you be at? Will you be at an event sometime soon?
Damn, I'm sponsoring the Dirty Fest, and I can't wait to come out to Southern California and get dirty.
Amy grips, still made here in the USA, used by world champions like me, Tommy Brackens. If you want to know more about the best grips on earth, go to amy.com.
If you have a Senna cycling helmet, you know what it's like to ride connected. Senna got their start in communications for the motorcycling industry, where they're now a leader. Senna brought their same tech that goes into those helmet-to-helmet motorcycle communication systems into cycling helmets. Senna bike helmets have an integrated microphone and 2 speakers hidden right into the shell. Senna helmets connect together on a mesh or Bluetooth network so you can talk to your friends while you ride without shouting over wind noise, even if you're not side by side. That is super cool, especially in the trails. Senna helmets also pair with smartphones, so you can listen to your playlist without blocking out ambient noise, and you can take phone calls and even hear turn-by-turn GPS directions.
Ready?
And that's going in.
Yeah. We need a doing. All right.
What's your nickname for like on the mic? Do you have a?
No.
You don't have?
I don't really have a nickname. It's Mike.
Oh.
Just Mike on the mic.
Name in my app.
She got one.
That's getting edited.
Yeah.
We're putting that in.
Hi, I'm Mike Miller, author of Day One by Michael Miller. And a special offer going out. Anybody who buys the book between now and Dirty Fest, which is April 28th through 30th, I'm going to take all the money from the book and send it to the Davis Finney Foundation for those with Parkinson's. So get your copy on Amazon.com and we'll make a donation.
Hey, what was the name of that book again?
Day One by Michael Miller, which is me.
I'm sorry. Hey, what was that name again?
Day One by Michael Miller.
Hey, support the podcasts that support us, our friends. The fine folks over there at All Things BMX, which is our favorite Wednesday night live podcast, as you know. Our buddies over there at Beer Budget BMX, Big Bike BMX, and BMX Weekly. Check them out. Check them out. Our friends.
What's up, everybody? It's your friend Isaac from Big Bike BMX, and I've got a podcast with my best friend, 80s BMX Craig.
Yep. And guess what, you guys? If you have enjoyed your time here on the Dirty Knobs podcast, we'd love for you guys to come over and hang out with us at Big Bike BMX, where we've got all your old school legends and BMX from the past and today at Big Bike BMX. Isaac,
come check us out. We'd love the opportunity to win you over. And if not, hey, it's just another place to talk about BMX with your grimy friends. It's fun.
Hey, Dale Holmes, I want to tell you something. One of my favorite podcasts that I never miss is BMX Weekly. Even though it has an accent, I still love it.
Cheers, Mike. You can get all the podcasts on bmxweekly.com. Old school, mid school, today's school. Check it out.
Yeah, BMX Weekly.
Hey, here we go. Hey, Beer Budget BMX, baby. Coming at you live from the Beer Budget studios over here at the Hack Shack Quarantine. Oh, man, we're coming in hotter than Satan's nutsack. Yeah, we are dirtier than an Alabama strip club where reclass pros go and get lap dances by their half-sister. Yeah, the only show that'll make you second-guess your life choices like an Amish on an e-bike.
Hey, if you guys enjoy what you just listened to, make sure you tune in every Wednesday night to the All Things BMX show, the only live streaming podcast show in the game right now. Even ask Mike. He's been on. Vicente's been on. Still waiting for that other guy to come on the show. You can find us on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. And you can also find us at allthingsbmxshow.com.
Keep it dirty.
Okay, I'm interested.
Yeah. Wow, that's a big glass of gin.
Dude.
Brother, you better edit. You better not like miss shit on your edit. Like, listen to it before you release it.
Yes. You're gonna get in trouble, bro.
God.
I'm not worried about it at all.
He isn't. Oh gosh.